Education meeting for Washington Unified School District on April 28th, 2022 at 5:30, a roll call vote. Clerk Bodegas.
Present.
And Trustee Gazette.
Present.
And we will have Trustee Vargas joining us, and I am present. And announcements of items to be discussed in closed session. We have Government Code Section 48918, student discipline case number 2022-07. We have Government Code Section 54957, public employee discipline, dismissal, release. Government Code Section 54957B1. This is board policy in AR 1312.1, potential appeal of complaints. And we have Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, WSTA, CSEA, and management. And are there any public comments regarding closed session?
No public comments received.
Okay, no hands are raised. So we will go into closed session and we will reconvene, we hope, at 6:30. We will.
Hi, Annie Chisholm. I see that your hand is risen. Can I help you?
Hi,
Sorry, go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I had some audio issues. Can I help you?
Yes, I wanted to make a public comment tonight.
Sure, I will add you to the queue.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Recording in
Test.
We can hear you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Hi, good evening. Thank you for your patience. I just received an update from the board that they are running long in closed session. They are anticipating to reconvene by 7 p.m. Thank you.
Reconvene. For April 28th, 2022. And we will, I'm going to first start with a roll call, or sorry, with the land acknowledgement. And Washington Unified School District acknowledges with respect the land that West Sacramento occupies, the traditional ancestral homeland of the Nisenan and Patwin people. We recognize and thank Nisenan and Patwin people as the original stewards of its land, and we honor their continual cultural and spiritual connection to this special place. We are now going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And if we could have backup teacher, Ms. Gregory, please present in the pledge. Ms. Gregory. No. Oh, sorry. Thank you. We're so happy to have people in person.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's the first time in, I think, like a year and a half that we've done this.
I know.
So, and I hope that back. All right, and I'll do a roll call vote. Clerk Benedict, Clerk Benedict.
Present.
Trustee Pizzotti.
Here.
And Trustee Gorman. Present, and I too am present. And announcement of action taken in closed session. We have Government Code Section 48918, student discipline case number 2022-07. Information was received. Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Relief. Information given. Government Code Section 54957B1, BPAR 1312.1, potential appeal of complaints. For this agenda item, the board determined not to hear the complaint appeal. And for Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators, WSTA, CFTA, and management, direction was given. And next we are at approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay. We have approval.
Move the agenda.
Okay, motion made by Trustee Pizzotti and seconded by Clerk Benedict. And all those in favor? Aye.
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 It's really nice. Okay, communications and celebrations. We are here to celebrate River City High School, HOSA, and that is the Future Health Professionals, students participating in State Leadership Conference. Then we have Thomas Mellon and from River City High School, Biomedical, and the Patient Care Pathway Lead. Welcome.
Hi, hello.
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 Oh, cool. You can see me good. Take a second to pop up. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for having us. It's me and two students, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you guys and share a little bit about our trip, because without you and the district, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. First, I just wanted to give you guys a quick refresher on Hosa, because I know we've been gone for a few years and it's something there. But if you want to go to the next slide for us real quick. So River City Hosa, it's a club that we have that's tied directly to our curriculum for the state. We're supposed to have one. We just started 3 years ago. So part of the reason we're here to celebrate is we finally got to go on our first SLC trip, because we got shut down right before we were supposed to go to our first one a few years ago. But essentially what we do, we work with professionals in the field. We work with the students to help them train and learn additional information than they would just get from our curriculum. There's 3 annual conferences that exist: the Fall Leadership Conference, which is regional, and the State Leadership Conference, which is statewide. And so if you want to go to the next slide real quick, that's what we're here to celebrate. this year. So we have a bunch of photos here, and we have two students on to talk about how useful endeavor it was for them. It's a 3-day conference in Long Beach. We were able to take 30 students with us down there. You can see a couple pictures of us at the airports going back and forth. Next slide. So there were over 1,500 Hosa students from across the state of California represented at this conference. They had an opportunity, they had to wear their uniforms and go and meet with other students and learn about their schools and their programs, network with professionals, and go to sessions where they got either peer taught or professional taught information and professional development. Next slide for us, please. So here's some images from the workshops they attended with students. There was personal growth. There was things to take back to try and train other students on. There was networking events and that sort of thing. So we have with us two students, Lizbeth and Cara, and they just were going to briefly talk about what an awesome trip it was for them and to thank you guys for approval of the trip so that we could actually attend this year. I'm not sure who would like to go first.
So I can go first. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Hi guys, my name is Cara Mann. I am currently a senior at River City High School, and I was the secretary for our Hosa Club this year. So I mainly wanted to get on here to talk about my experiences with the SLC conference and the two biggest things that I took away from it, which were probably empathy and engagement. So when I went to the conference, one of the main things I noticed was just how rigorous and dedicated all of the other students were. I think it's really hard to see what type of environment you're going to be surrounded by in medical pathways until you really see the people who have the same passions and goals as you do. I was also the voting delegate for our chapter with Lisbeth. So we were able to really see students who were looking for leadership roles and they were trying to be officers. It's really incredible to see just how much effort every student and every chapter put into coming to the conference and into their clubs. We saw organizations who had service hours up to 500, 400 hours, and that was really incredible and inspiring. And I also learned about engagement with public speaking. It was really cool to see the conference speakers come in and capture an audience of thousands of kids very easily. And the last takeaway I'd like to mention is just basic empathy. We met a lot of people who clearly have a passion for their job, and that's something that I feel like we were disconnected from virtually. Having these public speakers and having these people with experience in the medical pathway allowed us to really find our own passion. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but I am wearing scrubs from a job I was able to obtain due to attending the SLC conference, being a part of Hosa, and being a part of the medical pathway. So I actually do work as an optical pre-tester, and I was really able to take the skills I got from the conference, such as public speaking, empathy, and just really connecting with patients on a one-to-one level and apply them to my job. So it was an amazing opportunity, and I'd like to thank the board on the behalf of the entire club so much for it, because every single member I spoke to said that it was really life-changing. But yeah.
Thank you. Lizbeth?
I think Kara worded that perfectly. Hello, my name is Lizbeth. I'm a sophomore at River City High School, and I'm also on the council. And like Kara said, I was also a voting delegate at the SLC conference. I have a lot of takeaways from this. As Kara mentioned, there was so much to see as like public speaking skills and working with other people. And I think pretty much taking from what we saw and now we can like adapt that into our current clubs and just speaking and meeting other people. And one of the biggest things for me, because I personally have grown up in like in low-income communities. I've been in schools that were underfunded, I had never pictured myself going to a trip like this. Never in my life would I think I'd go on a trip like this. So the trip itself, like Kara said, was life-changing. And just being in a setting of, I guess you could say, classiness, but professionalism, it wouldn't feel intimidating, but it felt inspiring because I know I was supposed to be there and I could represent a whole group of people. It was just more inspiring, just being around so many other people who have the same passion, and almost intimidating too to see so many people that you either are going to be coworkers with or you're competing against in some way in getting into colleges. But everyone shares the same passion, and it also taught me a lot of like being independent and getting myself around a city that I have never been in. And I feel like that's also a life skill that we're going to have to attain at some point in the future. And I'm just truly, truly thankful for the funding into this trip. I would never thought I would go on a trip like this. And it was a wonderful thing to share with my family. And actually, a lot of other students even said that this was their first time being on a plane. So I can say this definitely changed lives.
Awesome, thank both of you. And one last thing I wanted to add to give a shout out to all of our students. So we started the year with about 80 students who were participating in this every Monday after school for an hour. And we ended up having 32 students who competed at the state level this year, in only our third year to compete in person. We had one student who qualified this year to actually compete in person at the conference. So out of those 1,500 students, we actually managed to get one student who was, I believe, in the top 10 for their percent for their category, and were able to actually have the opportunity to compete in person. So that was tremendous as well. So good hats off to all of them as well. And I think that is more. Oh, there's one last slide apparently that we had showing more at the conference and them getting to get out and have some organized lunches and learning stuff. So yeah, I just one last time wanted to reiterate thank you to the board for approving the trip, to the district for helping make sure it was possible. There were countless forms that needed to be signed and approved, and everything went smoothly, and it was a tremendous trip for everyone. So thank everyone involved for that.
Thank you. I don't know if you can see everybody smiles in this room, but that was so powerful, and I'm going to first see it my work colleague.
Yeah, well, of course I do. I was, yeah, this is amazing. I actually have no idea this existed. So that is so cool. I liked seeing that this was an opportunity for kids, and I was curious. I'm still curious about competition. What that means, but so it's amazing. I love both of the students' takeaways, and I really appreciate the empathy and engagement piece when it comes to patient care. I think those are really incredible skills for any provider to have and to learn. It's difficult when you end up studying for many years. You often forget that piece in healthcare at almost all levels. So it's really important as you are providing healthcare for patients to remember to listen and to engage with them and get a feel for where they're coming from. Also, I love what Beth was saying about it being the first time on airplanes and such for people and never thinking that you would be there. That's a really cool connector for a lot of people as well. So I am super thankful that you guys shared this, and I'm so glad you've had such an awesome opportunity. And of course, I'm always here. You can email me if you ever have any healthcare related questions or thoughts. I'm happy to process.
Just so you know, she is actually a nurse.
I'm a nurse practitioner. Yeah, sorry. I'm a nurse practitioner. And one more thing. I was like, wow, you guys are like in high school.
Right?
I was like 20. I think I was 26 when I went to nursing school, or maybe 27. And I didn't finish my NP until 2007. So, yeah, I'm 43 now. So 13 years. Anyway, that's cool. You guys, that's great. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask a question because I think this is so amazing. I I represent psychiatric nurses, so I'm curious, was there any mental and behavioral health care fields that were taught, or did you learn anything about those fields as well?
So I feel like I could answer that question. We actually had a lot of focus on mental health. There was a big discussion about how typically we focus on physical health rather than mental health. And we actually had a speaker who struggled with anxiety, depression, ADHD come talk to us about how instead of struggling with those illnesses and struggling with mental health, she was actually able to apply them to her passion, and she was able to better empathize with her patients. So it was really incredible to see people who struggle with the same issues that you do still manage to be successful in a field that they're passionate in. And you were able to just find so much connection with the speakers. But there was definitely a large focus on mental health. And I believe that the money that we actually donated for the fundraising throughout the SLC conference actually went to a mental health organization. I would have to double check on that though.
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
Yes, this is what education is all about. I mean, this is it. It's being able to take your passion and go on a campus of River City and then be able to explore the world. So I'm glad that you all got to go. And Long Beach is one of my favorite airports. So you guys definitely landed in the right airport. It's so quick. It's like the best. And finally, I really encourage this experience to help you all recruit more students to be a part of your club, using that enthusiasm, that energy, the relevancy, being able to use your public speaking skill that you learned and really get out there and encourage some of the other students. And use this really as a hook and really how can we make the next year's trip even better, right? Like just how can we make it better for the next group coming in. So yeah, thank you all. Thank you all for sharing. And again, it's a reminder of what our goal as educators is to be able to expose our young minds. Because exposure is everything. It's life changing. So thank you all for putting this together.
Well done. That was great, Kara and Lizbeth. I think, Liz, I was listening to you, thinking about some of our 8th graders, some of our 7th graders as they're continuing to think about what am I going to do for high school. And hearing your voice tonight, if any student was interested in this pathway, you were so well spoken and so convincing of that as well. As I was thinking about recruitment, just as you said. And then Thomas, none of this would happen without you. So thank you for that. And I know giving your time to take the students on this trip you're making some personal sacrifices for that. So thank you for all that you do. And thank you for giving your evening tonight to be here as well. It is very much appreciated.
Of course. Thank all of you again.
All right. Have a great night, everyone.
We look forward to seeing you next year.
Okay, and so with that, we are now moving on to our student board member report and to Dadley from River City High School. There you are. Good to see you.
Hi.
Hello.
I am bringing up the presentation.
So just bringing up your presentation now.
How are you guys doing today? I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while.
I
know.
You'll have to come join us here if you'd like to in the future. You're welcome to.
One of these days, hopefully.
Yeah. So it's probably more conducive for getting homework done, maybe.
All right. Over at Bridgeway Island Elementary, my sister's very own school, the PTO Family Night events have resumed. They want to say thank you to their amazing PTO for organizing a fun-filled evening at Fairy Tale Town. It was an evening to remember. And even though my sister wasn't able to go herself, she heard from her friends that it was an amazing time and that she wishes to go next year. So hopefully they put it together next year. CASP is here and Bridgeway Island Elementary is ready. Students participated in readiness activities and are ready to thrive. So I decided to quiz her on a couple of what I'm seeing here. I asked her about Thrive and she was only able to answer the acronyms for 3 out of the 6 letters. And I feel like 50% is enough to pass testing. So hopefully actual CASP testing. All right, next. And at Elkhorn, tomorrow the students at Elkhorn Village will be celebrating Dia del Nino. They have games, music, and treats for all of their students. The middle school soccer teams are off and running and getting positive results on and off the pitch. Both teams are having fun while representing their school, and we love to hear that. Next, please. And over at Riverbank, they didn't have much to say, but they did have a couple of photos to share with us. They're having 8 weeks of games, and they just recently had their kickball tournament this week. Oh, I wish we would have done that. All right, next, please. That looks so cute. At Stonegate, the Lions participated in Running for Rhett to help inspire, encourage, and get moving. Students met after school with Mr. Domek and Mr. Mendenhall for several weeks to focus on their physical health, which, as we know, is very important. College and career weekly winners want to say shout out to UC Davis and Sac State on behalf of their first and second grade winners. And I also just want to say thank you that they are working to strengthen the higher education pipeline at our elementary schools. I'd love to see that and hear that as well. Next slide, please. At Southport Elementary, the Dinos are looking forward to their Dino Dash this Saturday, April 30th. They want to say thank you to everyone who has worked on making this event happen for our community. The Southport PTO hosted an assembly through the Wild Things organization, and some of their students and staff were able to hold and feed the animals. They also have their youngest learners discovering and learning more about animals through play at recess. They also started state testing this week. They are very proud of the effort and skills their students are using to glow by showing what they know. That's cute. Next slide, please. At Westmore Oaks Elementary, the middle school students created motivation bags for their third graders taking the CASP test. And their fabulous PTSA donated bicycles for their, so sorry, I can't see that, for their CASP raffle. The sixth graders gained firsthand knowledge about the environment and nature on their slide. So sorry. Their students enjoying, and they decided to put a photo of their students enjoying strawberry. They want to say thank you to YOLO Farm to Fork. Next slide, please. At Wellswood Elementary, they want to say thank you to Mrs. Burkholder for getting their site officially accepted to the Amazon Future Engineer Sponsorship Program in partnership with Project STEM for the upcoming 2022-23 school year. As we all know, STEM is becoming even more important in our current society, especially coming off of the pandemic. So it's exciting to see that they are getting that early training and early information on that. Mr. Gary Bay at their elementary PE teacher kicked off their Healthy Heart Challenge this week, challenging all of their students to be active and be kind. They will raise funds to support the American Heart Association. Kind of similar to what our Hosa students just said as well. Next slide, please. At the Opportunity Academy, CASP testing has started their students in 8th grade. They have lots of fun incentives to encourage attendance and effort. They want to say thank you to Director Kari Pina and Cook Manager Diana Baraza for their support with getting them great food. The students are continuing to learn and are motivated to earn credits and get back on track in preparation of returning to their home schools. They want to say great job as well. The Opportunity Academy working together as a cohort on team building and communication with Green Light Get Outside. Next slide, please. At the Virtual Academy, their 3rd through 8th graders have also begun testing on campus for CASP. When students finish their CASP test, they get to choose a new book donated by their tech TOSA, Frank Parker. They celebrated their fabulous secretary, Denise Avila, on Administrative Professionals Day on Wednesday, April 27th. April 27th was also National Denim Day in support of Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. Next slide, please. At Washington Adult School, they want to say thank you to Mr. Jason's pre-apprenticeship class for continuing to do more amazing work for their school and community. They just completed a little library that will be on YOLO Education Center's campus for the community to enjoy. They also completed a compost bin for the urban farm at the barn. I love that. And a couple of pictures for us. I am in a meeting. elementary.
That's great. That was good.
So sorry, that was sorry. I'll tell you later.
That happened to all of us.
That's all right. Okay, that happened to us.
So sorry. At Yolo High School, CAPS testing has started. They have lots of fun incentives to encourage attendance and effort, including an AirPods raffle. I actually just lost my AirPods, so I would love to be in that raffle if you guys are still I want to say thank you to Director Kari Pina and Cook Manager Diana Barraza for their support with getting us great food as well. Their students are continuing to acquire credits. They had 10 students who completed classes on Ingenuity over spring break. And they want to say congratulations to their outreach specialist, Eli Leon, for being awarded the Certificate of Commendation for Community Recognition by the West Sacramento Police Department. Thank you for everything you do for our students, families, and community. Huge shout out to Eli Leon, pictured in the corner. All right, next slide, please. Washington Middle College High. I know this might be out of line, but have we possibly looked into renaming that name? It might just be me. I apologize. CAS testing starts next week over there. Decision day is Sunday, May 1st. Their students are choosing their colleges and they'll have a slideshow out on Monday to share in their success. So keep an eye on their website, Facebook page, and the WMCHS charter on all of their networks. Their spring formal dance on the 8th was a huge success, and some of their seniors will be attending River City's own prom this weekend. They want to say thank you to our Raiders. I just got back from our decorator and coordinator for that day, and everything is looking so exciting. I'm so excited for the day, and the decorations are absolutely beautiful. If your student isn't going, I don't believe it's too late to get a ticket. Please give us your money. And commitments so far over there. They have 6 students committed to Sac State, 6 to Sac City, 3 to UC Davis, 1 to Hollywood College, 1 at Hosley Academy, 1 attending the military, 1 at Sonoma State, 1 at Stanislaus State, 1 at Trinity University, and 1 at UC Irvine. Seniors hosted a rummage sale/car wash last Saturday to fundraise for their senior trip and raised over $800. Congratulations to the Washington Middle College High students over there. Next slide, please. Just recently, our freshman leadership class organized our academic assembly in which 700 Raiders received honor roll and were able to participate in the raffle and get prizes. Sadly, even though I was an honor roll student, I did not win anything in that raffle, but again, I'm still holding out on the AirPods. So let's hope for the best. There's a couple the first time we had an academic assembly at lunch, and I think it was a complete success. I'm very proud of our freshman leadership students, and I know that they're going on to do amazing things in the future. Next slide, please. And for Women's History Month, we celebrated Women's Day by having all of our readers wear purple, and that was recently March 8th. And I believe that is the last slide. Oh, so sorry. Also for Women's History Month, I want to give a shout out to our organizers, Melody Lozano and Owen Miller. You guys recently heard from Melody Lozano at the last meeting for the Thespians. She's also doing amazing things, and I hope she will be continuing her leadership career. They had the amazing idea of having students put post-it notes on a poster board for who is an important woman in their lives, and pictured you can see students and staff writing down names. Next slide, please. And that is all I have for you guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you as always, Natalie, for your. As always, you're welcome to stay. Our information today will be talking about local farm partnerships, an update on summer learning opportunities, and also a social emotional learning screener that you might be interested in. If you're not, you're welcome to, if you like, and we'll get them up on screen. So next we have our WSTA report and for. Okay, come on over. Yes. Colin Mallett. Welcome.
Vice President Kermit Gonzalez, Trustee Al Benedis. Mr. Pizzati and Ms. Barnes. Good evening. Thank you for having us here. Doug, if you didn't know, has tested negative for COVID. He's still a little under the weather. We are working on improving our shared delegation as well. And there will probably at some point in time and place in my career or his career where I might be holding the reins. So in his direction, I'm giving you the briefing tonight. So with that being said, we'd like to share leadership and grow our own, if you will. I do have for you tonight a couple of celebrations with the utmost of gratitude for specifically educators. First off, Betsy Erickson. 2021 WUSD Secondary Teacher of the Year, 2021 Yolo County Teacher of the Year, recently presented at the Physical Education Conference in Southern California. She's a force, she's a motivator, she's my AVID supervisor. I am a member of the AVID site at River City High School. She's an amazing human being. I can't say enough kind things about Betsy, and she's just always super supportive of students and their needs. And I know that's important. Thank you for everything you do, Betsy Erickson. My second shout out tonight is to Marcy Schrader. Marcy Schrader has consistently gone above and beyond anything and everything for her students and school community. She has created video presentations for students on different historical topics that incorporate everything from art and historical artifacts to primary sources. Marcy consistently communicates with parents and guardians when students' grades are slipping or in danger of failing. She arranges for them to come in after school for homework help, to help and receive assistance to complete assignments, and to ultimately to raise their grades. This year, she took it upon herself to be our school bell system. If you didn't know what had happened, the school bell system was non-existent for the majority of the year. So she went out as town crier in a very historical fashion and made sure to start school, notify and use the bell for all breaks and lunches, and to make sure students got to where they needed to be in between classes. She literally was the town crier. Thanks to all her efforts, 6th through 8th grade students were able to stay on track with schedules and the bustling and hustling to and from classes. Her attention to her students in school is like clockwork. Literally, she was the clock. She does not seek attention or recognition that others do, but can always be counted upon. Marcy's exceptional service always goes unnoticed, but so she deserves to be recognized. Thank you for everything you do, Marcy. Thank you for letting me share those two wonderful celebrations of some of our amazing WUSD and WSTA employees and colleagues. To the business at hand. Tonight it will be very short, sweet, and to the point. This report is going to be short for one reason and one reason only. To urge you to direct cabinet to please settle on salary and benefit proposals. Please take this message very seriously. There is only one tonight. On the issue of salary, WSTA and WUSD are currently negotiating salary benefits for the 2022 school year and 23 school year. Based on the facts presented and public evidence, it is clear that WUSD's budget is looking quite good. School services have projected a 6.56% COLA over the next year. And typically that is very conservative because they typically give this report to schools all across the state of California. Further, factual obligation means I have to share that WUSD has held unnecessary reserves. This wouldn't be the first time this has happened. I understand that discretion is a good thing. The state requires 3%. WUSD has been and adopted a position of holding at least 6%. Okay, let me be clear. Our current reserves, based on public information, are over 21%. WUSD has projected 26% of budget for consulting. This is a concern. WSG only projects 25% on certificated compensation. Let me be clear. WUSD has received significant increases to budget, including ongoing monies. Cash infusions from various one-time funds have allowed WUSD to save in areas that they normally spend. Again, we have the numbers. Current reserves are over 21%. I must say that I feel like I'm back in 2016, 2017, when we're having these discussions again. As two of you know, you were there, you understand the situation with these large reserves. Students are at the center and will always remain at the center of everything educators in West Sacramento do. We want to retain and attract high quality educators, teachers, and support staff. We must invest in them. Furthermore, as evidenced across the river and ongoing up and down the state, there is a growing crisis in education regarding teacher shortages. We cannot allow WUSD to fall behind neighboring districts. Please direct the superintendent and cabinet to fairly compensate the amazing educators that pulled us through COVID protocols. You just saw an incredible demonstration by our Hosa performance and team and scholars. That happens with great teacher leadership and wonderful students who are able to be watered, if you will, and let the opportunity to grow. We've heard this board praise our educators time and time again. We have heard it. Truly, the best way to honor their efforts is to compensate them aggressively and fairly. If we want to truly be the district that leads by example, we do that with actions, not words. Finally, be the superheroes our students, staff, and community deserve. And with that, thank you. Have a wonderful and pleasant evening.
We next have our CSA report, CSCA report, and I know President Nazara is not with us. Please mention that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So President Mann is under the weather this evening, but he did email comments. And so he has shared that he would like to, CSCA would like to thank Assistant Superintendent of HR Pupil and his HR team for the extension of the 2 MOUs. The hard to fill positions assigning incentive and classified out of classification duties, which will extend into the end of next school year and is a great benefit for classified. Also, I would like to give a negotiations update tonight. We met on Tuesday and we were able to create 2 articles, Article 6, transfers, and Article 20, layouts. We have salary and benefits left to finish up. CSCA feels that we have proposed a fair compensation package that will help attract and retain great classified employees. As we always speak about retention of current employees, this salary adjustment will help with that. With the benefits package, we are hoping to bring our membership to a more affordable contribution to their healthcare package. As we know, this is also a big part of retaining classified employees. To finish, I would just like to thank both negotiating teams. As we all know, these negotiations can be a long, exhausting process. Thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we hope you feel better. Okay, we next have public comments. I have, there's 3 on this form, but I have 1 more also for phone knowledge as well. Okay, so we have 4, and I get to read this public comment disclaimer, which maybe eventually we can discuss shortening for the sake of time. Okay, public comment disclaimer. Members of the public may address the board on the topics of our board agenda in addition to the topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and not on the agenda. Although the board by law may not take action at the meeting. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive item limit for a particular item. Individual speakers may be limited to 3 minutes to comment on any topic, and we will be fine with those things. Public comments consisting of individual charges, makes or derogatory remarks about any district employee or request to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district procedure. As such, the board reminds the public that the district has existing board policy that allows the public to lodge a complaint against the district employee. This policy provides a comprehensive procedure for reviewing and responding to public complaints. This process provides a more thorough opportunity to be heard and is allowed under the open meeting law that governs this. The board respects the right of members of the public to speak regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it is important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than their own, other than the subject's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student rights. Both state and federal law prohibit the board and others from discussing confidential information of discussion to defend, Be advised that if you reference a student's name other than your own student, you will be out of order and your comments may not be protected by the privileges and protect public speech. You could become liable to such comments if you public speech. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in public board meetings, may be actionable civil defamation. Okay, and with that, we have now President Doug Mann. Followed by Nikki Douglas.
Thank you very much for your time, members of the board and cabinet. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak in public comment today. As Vice President Malik mentioned, my family just recovered from COVID-19. I finally tested positive with the district today, which means I can go back to work and I don't. Negative. No, sorry, negative. Thank you. Well, I have proof. I feel like I need to show you this with my COVID card just to know my vaccine card. Yeah, I do have a little bit of COVID brain still. I obviously didn't feel prepared to speak formally tonight, but I did want to speak in public comment. And I just want to say first off that I was so inspired by the three student speakers I heard tonight, Jadadli, Kara, and Elizabeth. If they are any measure of the kind of excellence that we're putting out here in WUSD, then we have a lot to be proud of, because they were loquacious, intelligent, and man, students from other school districts are going to have a hard time competing with those three. I wanted to also just acknowledge the teachers in the district right now and encourage the school board to go out and watch them. They're inspiring, nothing short of inspiring what they're doing after 2 exhausting years. The creativeness that we're seeing in classrooms right now is just exceptional. And what they've gained from the skills they've learned during this pandemic is remarkable. Finally, I do want to encourage the board to direct the cabinet to settle with WUSD or with WSTA in regards to salary. We believe that the district is in a position to pay teachers fairly and compensate them aggressively. And right now, if you were walking in the trenches with me, and I know some of you have heard it, there's teachers about ready to leave the profession. And after 2 years, I think the best way to tell teachers that we know what they went through and we believe in them is to compensate them with the new monies that you're getting from the state and compensate them fairly. So I will just leave it at that. And thank you. It's so nice to be back with real human beings again. Thank you, everybody, for hearing my comments.
Next, we have Nikki Gregory, and then followed by Paul Mel.
Hello. Thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to talk about what's going on in our schools right now. I'm teaching at Riverbank, which I think is one of the best schools in our district. It's where I started and it's where I'm at the moment. I love teaching there, absolutely love teaching there. All the teachers that are there and our administration that's there is amazing. I honestly have never had an administration that is so supportive to teachers. So I just wanted to say that first. Right now I'm doing skin color in my classroom, and we're talking, I teach art, and we're doing skin color, and it just makes me realize, even though we are always teaching about race and wanting our kids to be, accepting, it really makes me realize how much we really need to focus on equity within our district. So I'm just putting it out there because, I use that opportunity as a teaching moment, and, but, I did come up with a proposal that I had addressed to Matt and to my principal about for next year about infusing art with social justice to be able to do that. And they said it's not going to be able to happen at this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and infuse it myself and throughout my curriculum, weave it through there. To do it anyway, because I really do see that it needs to be done. And the kids are very accepting. I do want you to know that you may be getting phone calls from parents because the whole, I work for Reacting with CTA, and I'm a human rights person with CTA, and I take my job very seriously. Equity is my passion. And so I try to be very positive and open and accepting of everything, but I don't accept racism. And so I put a stop to that. So if you get any phone calls about Miss Gregory said this, please, let's have a conversation. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that there is something that I feel very strongly about. Be Brave, Be You is a Sac City thing that is coming up. It is for LGBT. It is for May 21st to 22nd. And it is open to all students from 12 and above. It is going to be completely virtual, and it's going to be throughout the whole state. So, which is a great thing. But I want you to know, again, the whole equity thing, I have second, third, and fourth graders talking to me about it. So it is something that we really need to bring out and make it accepted. Make it so that it's not something to be, talked about privately and embarrassed about or something. We need to let our students feel like they're seen and heard and accepted for who they are. Thank you. All right.
Okay, and next we have Colin Mallett, followed by online, we'll have virtual comment.
Let's see. Tell me when you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
Hi again. It's me.
It's Avid 3 minutes.
Avid, 3 minutes on Avid.
1, 2,
Yeah, we're good.
3, go.
Good evening. I just have a couple brief wonders, and I just want to keep these above board and just check in with things that we've kind of discussed previously in public comments and also in WSTA reports as well. I just have a one about Civic Center update. Do we have any information for the public regarding return to Civic Center? If that is a question for either business services or HR, I'm wondering about that. My second wonder tonight is to Ed Services. Do we have a stadium sound system update? Do we have an update on that for the public? If you haven't noticed, there's a semi-professional football team out there going at it quite interestingly and exciting. And it's it's getting the community interested and they as well. If they're paying money for those services, we definitely want to support and provide that sound system for them at River City, our showcase piece of our schools. Third is for Assistant Superintendent Manu. I'd like to check in with you on a work system. The work order system updates we had been previously working on contract language Article 1210, and just see where we're at as we start to close out towards the end of the year, so that we are either proficient or trained in those systems, and just circle back with you. I would like to acknowledge the Hosa team again in my own public comments. That is so incredible. Trustee Barnes, I'm sure you were elated as well. My father's a nurse of 25 years. And so that was a special place in my heart for me as well. That comes when teachers are in a place where they feel valued, respected, and admired to follow their passions and lead by example. You do that by paying them. And then the students will obviously that was just amazing to see those 3 young people just know that their lives have changed. We need to get more kids on planes so they can go have those kind of experiences. I thought that was absolutely incredible. So thank you, board, for also allowing for that. That should be stated.
50 seconds.
50 seconds. Please don't neglect your retirees as we get towards the end of the year. We have several retirees. I can think of at least 3 at River City who are good, close friends of mine, people I've worked with, who I've watched grow, both in their twilight of careers, and still share as if they are young 25-year-old teachers. I'm losing friends, but I know they're moving on to their next step in life. But I would love for the district to please acknowledge them for all the hard work and dedication, a literal lifetime of service to this district. And that should be acknowledged before we get out. I know we are all kind of moving through it and almost to and beyond. And we are, I hope, at a place where we can kind of share those moments with our wonderful and cherished staff. Have a great night.
Okay, and Annie Tudor, take it away. You will be our last public.
Hi, can you hear me?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you to the Board of Education and the Executive Cabinet for allowing us to speak. I'm here to advocate for our 8th graders across the district. It has come to my attention recently, at least at Riverbank, our students were informed last week after spring break that there is an academic requirement in order to participate in promotion. And this really broke my heart because especially everything that the students have had to endure and what they've had to rise up to since March 13th of 2020 has been tremendous. Last year, that was not a requirement because the district acknowledged the situation that we were in. Unfortunately, we have gone back to the requirement during quote unquote normal times. And although we are, looking like we're coming out of this pretty soon, we are definitely not in normal times. And this year has not been a normal year. Many of us expected, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to be in person. And it was just a total uphill battle the whole time. Many of our students had a lot of absences due to having COVID themselves, running through their families. Their families have been affected by it, by loss of income and work. We have lots of families that are suffering from homelessness. And in all that, our normal life happens as well. So as we all know, there are lots of families that just struggle in general prior to the pandemic. And so I'm asking that the board push back against this and consider removing the academic requirement for allowing our 8th graders to walk during promotion. Many of our students are really stressed, especially finding out just last week and not really having a whole lot of time to address that. This is something that should have been addressed in the fall. Some sites were aware of this. However, we were not, and I know other school sites were in that position as well. So please consider what our students have gone through and what they're trying to do in order to be successful before they move on to high school, and give them this opportunity to celebrate closing out their time at their middle schools. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone for all of our public comments. I know that one that we know here that we've talked about for all of us watching, that is we've been meeting in person for over a year, and this is not necessarily conducive to as easy as it would be to meet at City Hall where we traditionally met. So when the city council returns and we are back to having that facility ready to go, we've been ready to go. Okay. So next up, we do not have a public hearing tonight, and so that takes us to information and discussion items. And we have our presentation on local farm partnerships with Washington School District Food Services and Monique Stovall, who is our assistant superintendent.
We're happy to welcome our director of food services, to provide an update for your request on the food services pharmacy partners.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, board trustees, cabinet, Dr. Hildreth, parents, students, and guests. I'm honored to be here tonight on your request to present our farm to school partnerships that support the needs of our students. You can go ahead, please. Like I said, our whole purpose for this evening is to talk about our farm to school partnerships. Next slide. So first, what is farm to school? It's a partnership to provide local produce, providing healthy options for students, helping to also heal historical inequities. Farm to school, this is its entire mission. Next slide, please. Through this presentation, I will give you a brief overview of the farm to school partnerships and the journey. In 2006, we started with Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, also known as FFVP. In 2012, we were part of the specialty crop grant for Yolo County. This is where we gained a bulk of knowledge to better support our farm to school procurement partnerships. In 2013, I joined the California Department Farm to Schools Committee. I attended and hosted lunch and learns for farm to school and started direct farm purchases. A lot happened in 2013. We, Washington Unified, sourced directly with farms up until the pandemic, which we all know changed many things. Now coming out of the pandemic, we have some of our farmers did not have protocols to continue to sell directly. Some farms closed, unfortunately. So we're currently sourcing through a sport purchasing option, but I will get through all of that here real shortly. Next slide, please. This slide is the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, which is important to our journey because its sole purpose is to encourage the introduction to various fresh fruits and vegetables. The program allows us to survey students in a small setting to better gauge the introduction. You'll see pictured our partner farmers, Hope and Shane of Fiery Ginger Farms. They help us taste test our students. We call it the Yum Yuck Board. We also include recipe cards to help them use the ingredients we send home. Due to COVID-19, with the current waivers, we actually send a weekly box home to students at Riverbank, Elkhorn, Westfield, and Westmore Oaks to experience with their families. Hopefully next year, we will be able to return to on-site taste testing and do the Yum Yuck boards again. We also this year sourced all of our FFVP produce through Spork, which in turn is all local farms. As you saw pictured earlier this evening in the student board report, those students were eating strawberries from our FFVP program. We are super proud of this program. Next slide, please. In 2013, we were part of the specialty crop grant for Yolo County, which is where we gained the bulk of our knowledge to better support our farm to school procurement partnerships. This grant afforded us the opportunity to work with local chefs and our staff to build the recipes from locally sourced crops through and serve it to our students through the National School Lunch Program. We also learned how to handle and prepare fresh produce, because if you know anything about fresh farm produce, it's definitely different than what you see in the grocery store. We did a county-wide Harvest of the Month program spotlighting local farm with farm fresh produce. We did many farmer meet and greets to see their product, learn how to convert pounds of harvest into servings. We needed in order to better gauge how many servings we need for a school serving, excuse me, a little bit of nerves tonight, and the cost for the budget. This created a great foundation for us. Next slide, please. Yolo Farm to Fork is another partner that originally partnered with us to help support the school gardens. These slides are showing how Yolo Farm to Fork supported our younger students in food education while they ate the rainbow. Through the pandemic, the partnership has grown and has also supported us connecting local farms to our schools. If time permits this evening, you will watch a cute video at the end of this presentation, showing their partnership better than I could ever put into words. Next slide, please. Also in 2013, we partnered with the UC California Davis Extension to provide additional nutrition education. This is how the Kids Farmers Market actually began. The Kids Farmers Market is also supported today by Yolo County Food Bank. As you can see, it supports 1,390 households. This program gives play money to our students to take home and get 12 pounds of healthy produce. Hopefully it's not all that green leafy lettuce that she took home, but you never know. This program is available at Elkhorn, Riverbank, and Westfield Elementary Schools currently. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, coming out of the pandemic, many farms just did not have the capacity to deliver or sell directly to schools or keep up with the COVID protocols. We are currently sourcing a majority of our local produce through the Sport Co-op, which on this slide, you can see many of the farms listed are directly in Yolo County. I have reached out to many of our previous and new partners farms to continue to grow this partnership. And this co-op gives us access to farms that I haven't been able to reach out previously because they're unable to deliver directly to our schools. Next slide, please. And like I said, I believe we have enough time this evening to watch this cute little video that puts YOLO Farm to Fork and our partnership with procurement in a better perspective. Please play the slide.
I didn't see it. Hi, my name is Summer Cortez, and I'm the Farm to School Coordinator at YOLO Farm to Fork. Today, we're at Elkhorn Elementary School, and I'm going to talk to a school kitchen team who does amazing work working directly with us to incorporate more fresh fruits and vegetables into school rooms. Let's go. I'm the kitchen manager here at Elkhorn Elementary. I've been here for 8 years with the district, Washington Unified, for about 10 years. So for those who don't know, who decides what's on the menu each day? The food service district. How many kids do you feed each day? Right now I'm serving up to 400. It depends on what they like. So anywhere from like 380 to 400. How many people are on your team helping you serve these meals? We have a total of 4 staff members in our cafeteria. Can you tell me a little bit about the salad bar? How does it work? So the salad bar is a lovely item for the kids. I think they get broccoli, celery, cucumbers, tomatoes. It's just always a different option for them, and they love it. How has it been working with local produce from places like Fort and Los Angeles Community Park? It's been really great with the local produce. I love when I see that the kids actually love like the fresh, like different vegetables and fruits. For instance, we have sugar snap peas. They love them. Like the honey crisp apples right now, they love them. Like, so I love all the different options that they get to try and taste and enjoy. So how did you find yourself in this position? And what kept you here so long? I've always worked in food service, and I love working with the kids. This is the school I went to school, so I plan on staying here as long as I can. Oh, wasn't that amazing? Although it's YOLO Farm to Fork shop to connect with local producers to school cafeterias, it's really teams like Charlie who turn pieces of produce into meaningful meals. Let's show some love and appreciation for what they do in the comment section below. For more information, follow YOLO Farm to Fork on all social media. Thank you.
Isn't that adorable and so well put? I couldn't have said it better. Next slide, please. Sorry about that. As this concludes our presentation, it has been a pleasure tonight to share our journey with you. I would like to thank all of our past and current partners that support Farm to School. I would like to note that currently 100% of our fresh fruit and vegetable produce is sourced local, and about 74% of the produce for the National School Lunch Program is sourced local. I'm proud of the work that this team has done, and I'm excited to see where we get to go from here. Thank you all very much for your time this evening.
So much, Terry. We're going to real quick check our microphones to make sure that people can hear us because we want to use Pupil. But let's check to make sure that there's.
Make sure one thing. Yes, I hope you can hear me. Something that Carrie did not share were all of these programs began when she began as a food service director. So I just want to make sure that we put that out. This is something passionate about. She speaks with our local farmers on a regular basis. She ensures that we're following all of the different rules and regulations. It's just really a champion for this partnership.
Can you hear us okay?
I'm live texting with Brian Briggs, Director of Technology, because he's on the video. So I told him which output I selected, and I said, you know, this one's the one we're doing. How's that sound? So thank you, Brian, for saving the day.
You're a little quiet, but I've turned my volume all the way up, so go ahead.
Now, yes. How does that sound? Can you guys, one of you talk, since you guys are closer to the microphone?
1, 2.
Is that better, Carrie?
Yes.
Because it's moving up here.
Yeah, it looks like
Plugged
it.
in, are they not on?
Are they on?
Oh, so it's red.
Do we have to
Red
try
is
to make
off.
it-
No, red is off.
Red is off. I
But
see
blue
that
is
one.
on, right?
There's no
Clear.
colors.
Clear is on. Or
Usually
not.
it's.
We're seeing that.
There it is. How can we talk to you?
I told you.
Okay.
I said I chose the correct
Yes,
one.
can you hear that? Like, is that very clear?
I can hear you.
Speak up.
Well, no, we
she's
can't hear
muted.
her.
But she's
So she's muted.
Okay.
She's not.
oh, she's not muted. But we can't hear her.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
It's very one way.
Well, while you work on that, are there comments here? I do have a question.
I'm just gonna say thank you, yes. This is definitely something that I'm gonna brag about to other districts and just really lead by example here in West Sacramento. Boosting immune systems through healthy eating, through local eating. It's beautiful to see that the vegetables are green, right? And it's in red and colorful and full of life. So thank you. Thank you for being so passionate about it. I think that's what it takes. It takes individuals who are passionate about a certain vision or project in order to make things happen. So thank you. Thank you for leading the way.
It's my honor.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you, Carrie, for you and your team and all the work that you do. I came on the board in 2015 and I was watching the chart and you started this process before I was even here and I've watched it grow exponentially every year. So I just want to say thank you so much for all that you've done in terms of getting fresh farm to fork foods to our kids. It's just amazing. Thank you.
Same. I think you're amazing. You said you were nervous and I was like, oh, you don't need to be because you're doing a great job. That was great. Also, I get given up on salads. So I love the salad bar because the girls were like, ooh, salad. But now they eat salads from the Elkhorn salad bar. And I'm like, what'd you have for lunch? They're like, I had a salad and an apple and whatever else. And so I'm like, okay, great. Anyway, I buy salads again now. So thank you for that. It's great.
Yeah, this was your heart and passion to serve kids and find before we had the funding to do it too, to find every penny that you could to make sure that they were fed and fed well, has really led the way in our whole region. There's no one like you. And so you're just the best. And your staff too. Did we all see those little packages wrapped up, the work that they've had to do because of COVID?
Yep.
It's just, I know that it's taken a huge, huge toll and been a heavy lift on food services. So thank you to your entire team. They're amazing. They were outside in the rain serving food. They were, they deserve all the credit we can give them. So thank you for this. My one question, so I'm hoping we can hear you, is what I've really appreciated too is, and I'm not seeing in other districts, is kids getting food at recess and having the snacks wheeled out to the playground, a place where, I couldn't get my kids to eat earlier. And now they're saying, oh, I grabbed an apple off the cart. And so can you tell us how that works and why we're doing that and maybe others are not?
I funded it. Can you hear me?
Oh, can you meme it? Okay.
I'm not ASL.
Maybe we can do an update, maybe just over email at some point, but I would love to know, just the magic you make happen, because I talk in other districts and ask and they say, oh, we can't do that. And I've never heard you once say, we can't do something.
we heard you. Oh, you heard me finally?
Yeah, we heard you. Okay. All right. That's your question to take it away.
So thank you, Sarah Kirby Gonzalez. We fund it through the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program because that program is more specifically to be separate from breakfast and lunch program. So it's a grant that we apply for, or that I apply for on behalf of all of the schools in Washington Unified. It is grant funded, so therefore the most neediest of schools generally are the ones that receive the grant funding. We have 4 schools that we currently have on it. And that is really where I started the work for Farm to School, was because I could offer it in a different area for students. I also tried to use that time to introduce the things, maybe some of the things from the school garden. I know many of you remember Paula, who used to be the kitchen manager at Westmore Oaks, and my heart really went out when she got kids to eat kale. You talk about salad, she got them to eat and enjoy kale. And so, you know, I have a phenomenal crew. I can never speak highly enough for them or about them, but it is a true labor of love for all of us. So thank you so much, all of you, for your kind words.
Thank you. And thank you for staying a little later too, as we worked out all the technology. You're appreciated. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, so next that takes us to the update on Washington Unified School District's extended learning summer opportunities for 2022. And that would be with Sam Weish, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Very tongue-tied tonight.
And I believe we're going to have a little presentation that we can share. Okay, well, tonight we, as you know, we have expanded our summer programs in order to have greater learning opportunities for all our students and create some very enriching experiences. And so tonight we wanted to give you a current update of where we are with our plans and some information and specifics regarding to several of the programs that we're hoping to host this summer of 2022. Slide. This is one I think many of you are already very familiar with. We've had this for a few years. Last year we added a DI, a dual immersion component to it as well. And so this is the ELDI Summer Institute. This year it's going to be taking place at Westmore Oaks. It's been at Elkhorn for a number of years, but it's going to be at Westmore this year. The program is going to run from June 6th to July 1. So it's starting a little earlier, ending a little earlier than usual as well. And it's going to serve approximately 300 students. Our EL program specialists and TOSA are already working to develop engaging standards-based curriculum based on our keystone species for this summer. This keystone species is polar bears.
Osos polares.
So we're currently working on recruiting both our certificated and classified staff. We're reaching out to eligible students to invite them to be part of this high impact program. New to the Institute this summer is our collaboration with Victor Services, who will be providing social emotional learning assemblies, class lessons, and individual services in both English and Spanish during this time for the summer. Slide. Last year, what happened? I didn't put my mute on.
Somebody wasn't.
Okay, good. So last year, we also started a summer boost. We will be continuing with that. So that will happen at certain individual K-8 school sites. We're still working in progress on which sites will host what and when. They will all be from July 25th to August 5th. Slide. Also, something that probably many of you are familiar with is that at River City High School, as we've had some credit recovery and intervention classes that happen in the summer, we really do target the upper grades, but 10th graders and 11th graders can also come in, but we do prioritize the older students due to their proximity of when they're going to graduate. So this time around, we'll be using a lot of Edgenuity, but you can also come in person or virtual. So you have both options at River City High School for summer. And the first lesson time is going to be June 6th to July 1. Next slide, yes. Something we're hoping to bring back in a more robust form. This has been very successful in years past. Obviously, the last couple of years due to COVID concerns, we've not been able to really do this to the level that we wanted. But we have a summer bridge program at River City High School. The point of the program is to get our 8th graders very familiar with high school, where we're thinking, they have a much better chance of success right away and hit the ground running if they have this bridge program coming from 8th grade, since the school sites at K-8 are very different than the high school. This has worked very well before. And they mostly focus on English and math skills to help students transition, but they do a lot of enrichment as well. And this year, due to a grant, there will have many students, I believe approximately 36 students will be eligible to go to UCLA for a 3-day field trip paid for by this grant, which you all approved the overnight of already. So thank you for that. And this also begins June 6th to June 17th. But they're going to have a second session June 20th to July 1st. So it's 2 sessions this time around with 2 different groups of kids. A little bit different. They're doing this at the beginning of summer. Previous years, they've done this at the end of summer. Thank you. Next slide. Yolo High School is doing a very similar program. They use Edgenuity as well at the Yolo Education Center to target at-risk students who may be in need of more credits. And this will run from June 6th to June 24th, Monday through Friday. Next slide. And not to be left out, Washington Middle College High School will also have a credit recovery program to target credit deficient students. And that's also running from June 6th to June 24th. One of the things we tried to do last year is add more enrichment here at Washington Unified School District. It's not just credit efficiency or targeted intervention, but we've begun to add a lot more enrichment. And last year we had a very successful VAPA enrichment program called Camp Yampa. It was designed by our students from River City High School. They have presented here for the board their plans previously. So it is run by high school interns, and of course, Chris Hanks and other VAPA staff are front and foremost there, making sure everything is running smoothly. And we are planning on doing that again from June 13th to July 8th. Also looking at using the Bright campus where it was last year. Very excited about our second year of this. We're thinking we're going to have about 50 middle grade students to participate. This has already gone out as something that families can sign up for. So if you have any additional questions, there'll be a website at the end of this presentation where you can look at all our summer options. But this is all, people all have already begun signing up for this. So you can do that as soon as you can, so we get a good idea how many students to prepare for. In addition, last year we came out with a Spanish tutoring program, an online library for Spanish called My Spanish Journey. And we will have this available for families again this summer. Up to 100 students can participate in this. This was a big hit last year. Both of these were. We've got some sports camps that we're running. So last year we ran tennis and golf camp. Each of these, tennis and golf, I believe can host up to 100 students. These are no-cost programs that the district is sponsoring. And again, these are things that you can sign up for. All this is done in collaboration with the Parks and Recreation here in the city of West Sacramento. They are our partners in this. And this year we also have a softball camp. West Sacramento has been known to have some pretty good softball talent, let me tell you. So we're hoping that we can get a lot of our young students, starting from 2nd grade all the way to freshmen. Tennis and golf was 1st grade to 6th grade. Hoping to get them all to participate this summer in this. And first time ever, we also have a soccer camp. Soccer, another very popular sport here at West Sacramento. A lot of success with boys and girls programs at River City High School. And we're hoping we can get some more public interest in this. So a room for about 100 students, boys and girls. And all these programs are boys and girls. So no cost, none of these programs that I just mentioned here, these traditional programs for sports, have any cost. So it's a bargain.
Yeah.
West Sacramento Parks and Recreation also has other collaborative programs. They have Camp Lakeside, which they will be running. This is their program. However, we are working with them to also partner where we can to provide some academic activities for students while they're there. And we do have a Native American education program students who participate in this are usually sought out and through our connections at this with our Indian Ed program, and that will be available for students again this year. Next slide. Now, for people who maybe can't commit to a certain time, but they want to keep their students practicing, we do have FEV tutoring available online for folks. We will be sending out a community message so that families know exactly how they can sign up for this program. In this program, they can access the tutoring online 24/7. We know that some families have vacations planned and things like that, and they just can't attend things, but they want to keep their kids practicing. So this program is going to be available for families this summer. Also, as was mentioned, ESY and EL and DI Summer Institute, Victor Services will be supporting all these programs from June 6th through August 8th. And so they will be available to families over the summer, and we'll be actually on our sites still supporting students that need that support. You don't have to be in a summer program to actually get that support because they will be on our campuses. We will be sending out a communication to all families on how they can actually access that support. So that's something that you can look for in our WSD communications. And last but not least, we do have a summer programs webpage on our website. And so there it is, there's a side of it there. So all these programs are talked about there, and any contact information you need. Just note that some of this is still fluid and we are still working on these. So some things may change, so keep updated. And of course, we're still adding some information. So just to be warned about that. And that is it for what we have planned for our summer programs at this point.
Okay.
More to be said.
Questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. As it regards to our summer programs, are we going to have enough staff to cover all of the summer programs?
I can't say for sure that we'll have staff for all. I believe all these programs will run. What we don't know is if we have to limit it in some way to the number of students that can participate. But I'm fairly confident that we will have the programs that I mentioned here.
Okay. And then can any student participate in the summer boost program? Or is there certain criteria that needs to be met in order for them to be eligible for the summer boost?
Every student can participate. However, we have always prioritized homeless students, foster youth students, students of high priority.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is if there's going to be an issue with staff and finding enough staff, especially in the summer boost where we certainly want, to do some learning recovery, due to COVID. And based on, I think, some of the iReady scores we've seen, it would benefit a lot of students. And I'm getting a lot of questions from parents. When can we start enrolling in the summer boost program? And I think more people are interested in doing that than will be potentially feasible, based on, our staffing needs. So I'm just curious as to, how are we going to make sure that we can get in as many and accommodate as many kids as possible?
Yeah, we will definitely want to accommodate as many as possible, but again, staffing does impact that. Those are summer hours still. So that's something we're still working through and trying to recruit and see having as many staff as available as possible. We're also talking with our partners in HR about seeing if there could be some possible external folks like our subs who have worked very diligently in our district and have done a great job for us this year through some very difficult times. So we have developed some good solid relationships with a lot of our subs. So we're seeing if we can add that to it as well. But we always start with our own staff first, and we're trying to have as many of them there as possible. We're doing our best to have that. The boost is probably the program that's most impacted by staffing right now.
Right. So I figured. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, these are great. I know I'll just very briefly share my daughter. Last year they did the golf and tennis, and clearly they hadn't been exposed to the sports because they told me all about how they're going to get to drive, and I didn't register what that meant. And they kept saying, we get to drive the golf. I thought a golf cart or something. I thought, I don't think that sounds safe. And anyways, it was a driver and they didn't know the language of that. So my point to that is we're exposing kids to sports that they might not also be exposed to. And but every single thing you covered is just phenomenal. So thank you very much. It's great. Okay. Next up then we have, that takes us to update on PASS, which is our SEL screener, and that is with Jay Burns, who is our Director of Special Programs, and also with Sam Weischigen, which is our Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services.
Yes, I'm glad we got that. I actually get to start. I'm glad we got that sound going because this is mostly Jay's presentation. So
okay.
I'm glad that's working out very well. Good. So just tonight, we want to share an update with the Board of Trustees of the online program that WUSD schools, or I should say Ks, are using to identify the social emotional learning barriers and needs of students. We know that students are going to continue to need more support than ever before to that regard. Educators will need to improve prioritizing supporting how they support students with social emotional health. And the best way to do this is having a tier 1 social emotional learning screener so we can organize systematic, high quality supports for those students. We do have some surveys that we've used in the past in the district. I think many of you are aware of the Healthy Kids survey. So that's something we've used prior, and we still are going to use that. However, the program that we're sharing tonight is not necessarily a survey, it's a screener, it's a different classification. So what that allows you to do is to get more granular and deeper than what a survey would give you. A screener will help you identify the school-wide areas to prioritize, such as a grade level or demographics. It will also identify individual students who need additional support. So you can get down to the individual student. Basic framework for conducting these types of assessments in schools is being able to, assess the social emotional competence of students individually. And then using that information, our staff can deliver consistent, high quality instruction to all students. And we, of course, want to align this data with the academic data, so that, such as grades and also attendance, to identify students who need additional academic support. So this is this is giving us a lot more data than we've had previously in our district. So we're just getting started with this tool. There's still a lot for us to develop. We've just started using this spring. And we think we're going to be, we know we're going to be a lot more robust with it coming next fall. And I'm going to turn the rest of this presentation over to Dr. Jay Burns.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Stan. Thank you to the school board. Dr. Hildreth, thank you for having me tonight. Tough following all those other presentations to hear all the exciting things going on this summer, and then all the great vegetables and fruit that's out there. So I'm going to try to make this come alive and get you guys excited about PASS. This is just the beginning. So Mario, throw a little music in there, Mario, when you do the transitions as well. Maybe a little dance, right? Hey.
Not rehearse that.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. This is social emotional. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so what is PASS right there? Pupil attitudes to self and school. It's an online survey, right? It's going to help us to identify what the social and emotional barriers are to learning for our students. And it's not just whole school, right? When you look at Healthy Kids survey, it gives you a survey of what's going on in the grade level, the school, the district. This actually helps you to drill down and see an individual student and how they're doing. The survey takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete. There's a survey for grades 2 through 5. There's a survey through grades 6 through 12, and there's a younger survey. We really didn't do the younger survey this time around. We're piloting, right? We did 2 through 5. We did 6 through 8 at the middle schools, and then we did at Washington Middle College High School. And I do think, to Dadley, that is a good name, but Washington Middle College High School We did it there in a YOLO as well. Next slide. Okay, and then it just talks about why it's important, right? And it just talks about the different barriers, and you can look at that slide and see what those barriers are. But we know that school connectedness, I can't even speak, self-efficacy and motivation are extremely important. And then we started looking about those things that are causing those problems: behavioral challenges, bullying, absenteeism. We can just look at the slide and see. And these are things that we're trying to identify, and we're trying to dig down and change behaviors and help support our struggling, reluctant learners. Next slide, please. And then this talks about what it measures, right? And you talk about the 9 areas, and you're going to see that there's questions that actually focus on these 9 areas. One that we're going to look at tonight when we look at data in a little bit will be feelings about school. And it helps us to drill down and say, how does the 2nd grade feel about school? How does Bridgeway Island or Stonegate feel about school, or Southport or whatever? How do they feel about school in the 4th grade? How do they feel about preparedness for learning at Westfield or Westmore Oaks? There are questions that will help get that data out, to drill down and get the data out. Next slide. Okay, there's going to be a test at the end of this for the school board. I just want you to know. Okay, so I want you to look at the colors, because I'm a visual learner, and these colors kind of help you determine when we start looking at the next slide. And not there yet. We're not there yet. No singing yet. Mario, no dancing. We're not ready for the next slide yet. But I want you to look at these percentiles and kind of keep this in mind as we look at the next slide. So the survey is nationally normed. And when I was talking to them at PASS about the survey, it's benchmarked against national norms and international norms. So I thought that was intriguing. And they're trying to dial in the national norms a little more for the future, is what they said. They're getting better and better about their data. So I want you to think about this as we look at future slides. For example, when we look at the next slide for grades 2 through 5, feelings about school, the average 2nd grader at Washington Unified scores higher than 30% of other 2nd graders, right? I want you to think about that. When going up against other 2nd graders across the nation, right, cross-referenced the mean, they're 30% higher. So let's go to the next slide, and let's get your test. There you go. So if you look at here, you see that in 2nd grade, our kids are doing 30% better than their peers across the nation when it comes to their feelings about school. Okay, and that's important. So we start talking, and then these are the questions that they had in the screener that started drilling down to determine how they feel about school. Now, if you look at 4th grade, it was yellow. I know that's hard to see on this slide. On mine, it's yellow. Here, it's not showing up as yellow, but it's yellow. But it's 29.9, and we know that 30% was the break-off point. So we're right there, that our kids are doing about 29, almost 30% better than their peers in 4th grade. And then you talk about the interventions. What kind of interventions can we recommend, right? Creating a welcoming, inclusive classroom environment, empower students and increase feelings of belonging, create a consistent start to every period, right? Just great recommendations for tier 1 for all students in the classroom. Next slide, please. Did you guys hear any music from Mario?
It's like a dance party in here. I guess you don't.
Yeah, like I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep everybody awake and ready to go. So now you look at grades 6 through 8, and this is feelings about school. And what really jumped out at me is look at 8th grade. 8th grade across our district. And I can't say that every 8th grade student or every middle schooler across our district, because we're piloting and we're learning and we're trying to get better at this, took this. But from the data we had, they did better than 62% of their peers across the nation. And we can say internationally, right? As I mentioned earlier. Once again, here's the questions. Questions associated with this factor. I am lonely at school. I am bored at school. I'm happy when I am in school. I like being at school. Some of those questions. And here's the same interventions that we talked about for grades 2 through 5. Same interventions work for this group. Next slide, please. Now look at this. How does this data benefit staff, right? So when I was talking to Woodland about this, it was really interesting to talk about different schools in Woodland, because for lack of better terms, they started this before us. So then I started calling over to them and saying, What did you get from the data? And it was those aha moments. I didn't know that child was struggling. Oh, I didn't know this grade level was doing really well here. I thought otherwise, or they're struggling here. But really what makes this different than the Healthy Kids survey is this drills down and you can actually look at an individual student and see how they're doing. So you can look at the whole school, you can look at demographic groups, right? And then you can look at individual student profiles. So we want to identify emotionally vulnerable students who are not yet on our radar. Did we know about the student? So when we're having our MTSS meetings and we're discussing students, or we're looking at grades, behavior, attendance, we can also dive down deeper using this data. We can tackle challenging behavior by gaining a whole child view. We can inform teaching strategies, right? We can guide and inform our instruction or our intervention programs. We can take a proactive and targeted approach to social emotional learning. Next slide, please. So before I jump into this last slide, I want you to think about, this is just the beginning. We're just learning. We know that we want to do this in the fall and the spring next year. We know that we want to utilize this data, not just for the principal, not just for the admin team, not just for our outreach specialists, our social workers, or leadership. We want this to come out to everybody on our team. We want to look at this from the whole classroom, how we can support a grade level, how we can support a class, how we can support individual students. Do we need to do groups? Do we need to bring in certain curriculum to support our kids? Is the curriculum that we already are using, I want to say Sanford Harmony, is that working for our students, right? And then this is just a cycle, right? This is just a cycle. And I like to call it reflection, continuous growth, and improvement. It's no different than what we do in a PLC, right? We come and plan, we then assess, then we analyze the data, and then we intervention. We plan our intervention. And this is what we're talking about right here. So next year, we're going to do this twice in the year. And we're going to hopefully utilize that data on top of all the other data we have to dive in a little deeper and strategically intervene with our students and hopefully support them so they can be more successful at school, academically, and more importantly, just overall in their achievement at school, so they have a good home life at school. All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. Mario, close it out with a song and then questions. That was good.
That was good. Ah, nice job. That's great.
Wow, that was on point. That was on.
Mario Kart. Super Mario.
That was really good.
Oh, stop. Do we have any questions? Any questions?
Phenomenal.
No, that was great. Sorry, I got distracted by Mario.
Me too.
Oh, how many years, sorry, did you say that was my only question at the end? I think you mentioned the cycle and how long that rolls out.
Yeah.
Sorry, how is it like a 2-year reassessment or?
Oh, no. We're going to do it twice a year. Twice a year.
Twice
So
a year,
the goal is to do it in the fall and in the spring. And we didn't do it again because we did this back around February, March, right? Right around then. And then you want to be able to implement interventions. And then you want to assess again to say, how do interventions work, right?
Awesome.
How did they, right?
Cool. Thank you.
I'm just glad you mentioned that you reached out to Woodland. And it just shows that we're reaching out to our neighbors and looking to serve the entire community. So yeah, thank you for that.
Alvaro, I have to tell you, when I met with these guys from PASS, they were in my hometown in Staten Island, New York. So I was like so excited to talk to these guys, and we all understood each other. Stan was like looking at us like, I don't understand what you guys are saying. So the accent got really heavy.
That was really good. And the Healthy Kids Survey, you're right. It's a nice, it's a nice tool, but this definitely digs deeper. And it was really interesting to see the information you share with us tonight. So thank you for finding this tool. Thanks for the research you're doing and for using it for our kids.
It's just the beginning, and Mr. Moisich brought it to us, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well done.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. That takes us to consent.
I'll move the consent calendar.
I second.
Okay, great. It was moved by Vice President Pizzotti. It was seconded by Clerk Venegas.
President.
I don't know what's happening to me tonight. I can't talk, tired. All right. Yes, you are. Yes, I am. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I too vote aye. All right. All right. So that takes us over to the action item. All right, so we have Government Code Section 48918, student discipline case number 2022-07, and that is also Sam Research, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. The Board of Education received information on student discipline case number 2022-07 in closed session. As required by Ed Code, the board will need to take actions on the recommendations of staff in open session. We are asking that you accept the recommendations from staff.
Okay. Any questions, or does somebody move?
I'll move the recommendations on staff.
Okay.
Second.
Zadi, thank you. Okay, thank you, Trustee Barnes. A second. Although, oh, we need to do a roll call vote. Trustee Barnes.
Aye.
Okay, Trustee Zadi.
Aye.
Clerk Venegas.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. So that passes. And that takes us to the approval of the memorandum of understanding between Washington Unified School District and the California School Employee Association and its Riverview chapter number 168 with regards to COVID-19 compensation. And that goes to Kamaljeet Panu, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening, trustees. For the 2021-22 year, the district has experienced variance and impacting services provided by specific job classifications within the CSEA, Classified Employees Association bargaining in its Riverview Chapter 168. In collaboration with CSEA leadership, an MOU has been crafted calling out specific job classifications that continue to provide an expanded level of service, helping to maintain continuity of services to our school community within the bargaining unit. In recognition of this work, the district shall pay a one-time off-schedule payment of $1,000 to CSEA bargaining unit members who are working in the classifications listed in the MOU. We are asking the board to take action to approve this MOU this year.
Okay, great. Any questions? No? Okay, well done. Good. We have a motion?
I move.
Okay, thank you to
Second.
Vegas. Thank you to Trustee Barnes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I too vote aye. Thank you. And that takes us to the adoption of resolution number 2122-34, adopting best value procurement procedures and guidelines pursuant to Education Code Section 17406. Monique Stovall, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services.
So this item is a resolution that is required to bring forth to you for consideration. It's related to our Measure Z project for our Westfield Village project, our first project for our Measure Z. A little history on this, different project delivery methods, meaning how we can do construction of our schools or modernization of our schools, was discussed at the most recent facilities committee. And the facilities committee recommended that we bring forth to you for consideration and approval the lease back construction delivery method. This is the same method of construction that we did for our Fallbrook project, also known as our Westmore Oaks project. We believe that it is the best for us when we're looking at cost and then also the way that we deliver it. For those of you who may not know, I'll give just a brief summary of what lease back is. In essence, one of the major components of it that's valuable for us is being able to bring the contractor on early, meaning as soon as we release the RFP and we have the contract ready, and we're hoping that will be July 1, the architect and the contractor can begin having a conversation. And that helps us in the long run when we're really starting the project to minimize the number of change orders. Change orders are when we get in there and we say, oh no, we forgot to consider the X, Y, and Z, and we have to come back to you for a change to what we had planned to do in essence. Therefore, we are requesting that you approve the resolution to allow us to release the request for proposal, the RFP, to do the lease back. It seems strange to have a resolution, but the lease back method is highly regulated, which is a good thing to make sure that we are really doing things appropriately, protecting monies, and making sure that we have quality projects.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, not a question, just when Clerk Venegas and I met in the facilities committee, they brought to us 3 options of potential ways to handle this. And it was pretty clear to us that this was going to be the best option available to us, especially since we had recent experience going forward with Fallbrook campus. And actually previously the issues that we had prior to going with this method in the Fallbrook campus and some of the redesigns that we had. So it was definitely a clear and easy choice for us.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for that. Thank you for doing that. All right. Do we have a motion?
I will move.
Okay.
I second.
Thank you. So moved by Trustee Basadi, seconded by Clerk Venegas. All those in favor? Aye.
Do we need, since it's a resolution, does
Oh, do we need to do a roll call? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Trustee Ernest. I was up very early. I was up very early with a very sweet little girl that was, well, in any case, I'm a little tired. Yes, thank you. Trustee Ernest says aye. Clerk Venegas.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Basadi.
Aye.
Thank you. I too vote aye. Please tell me I don't have to read this legally, do we?
No.
I
No.
think it's up to you.
I don't, okay, we're gonna, it is on our website. We're transparent in that process. Okay, so moving on then to our board governance, we have some resolutions. Per practice, we do read these, although I think that would be a good conversation moving forward in the future too, to see how to be the most efficient and honor these resolutions. Maybe there's another way we can do this, but so thank you to Trustee Pizzati, who is going to read the first resolution, number 2122-30, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
All right. Whereas the state of California is home to over 600,000 Asian and Pacific Islander students from kindergarten through grade 12, whereas the diversity of these groups include Bengali, Burmese, Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Hmong, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Lao, Malayan, Okinawan, Pakistani, Thai, Vietnamese, Samoan, Asian Indian, and others. Whereas we acknowledge the historical and cultural contributions of the Asian Pacific Americans in the development of the state of California, and whereas many Asian Pacific Americans have experienced the injustices of exclusionary acts, denial of citizenship, and land ownership, as well as internment in relocation camps. And whereas we acknowledge these Americans for their contributions to government, industry, and commerce, agricultural, science, literature, and the arts, and therefore be it resolved that the Washington Unified School District recognizes the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and encourages all schools to commemorate this occasion. Passed and adopted by the WSD Board of Education on this day, 28th of April, by the following vote. I will move it.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, so it was moved by Trustee Pizzati, seconded by Clerk Venegas, and this is a roll call vote. Please, so Trustee Pizzati
Aye.
and Clerk Venegas.
Aye.
Trustee Barnes. Aye. And I too vote aye. All right, that takes us to.
That was really.
President Wong will be back with you. Okay, so resolution number 2122-31, California Day of the Teacher, and that is the one. No one signed up for that one, so I will be reading California Day of the Teacher.
Reason why we
We left it. We left it.
Thank you. Whereas the Washington Unified School District, it's missing a couple words there, is fortunate to have a team of skilled, caring educators who during the current unprecedented global pandemic have taken on the role of essential workers, making it possible for students to continue to learn during this uncertain time. And whereas Washington Unified School District teachers, while facing personal and professional challenges, work tirelessly to provide students instruction through distance learning. Luckily not this year. And whereas Washington Unified School District teachers have responded to the call to serve as disaster service workers in service to community at large, and in particular to supporting healthcare and essential workers with childcare needs. And whereas Washington Unified School District teachers have been responsible for educating hundreds of thousands of students since the founding of Washington Unified School District, and have led efforts to promote and advance educational opportunities for all. And whereas Washington Unified School District teachers have promoted the value of public education and advocated for the resources necessary to maintain high quality schools. And whereas Washington Unified School District teachers have not only historically shaped the education system in West Sacramento, but continue to take a leading role in efforts to improve education for all. And whereas this year's California Day of the Teachers theme is California Educators at the Heart of Communities, Powering Our Future. Therefore, be it resolved that the Washington Unified School District extends its sincere appreciation and commendation to all Washington Unified School District teachers and the West Sacramento Teachers Association by celebrating May 11th, 2022 as California Day of the Teacher, passed and adopted by Washington Unified School District Board of Education on this 28th day of April 2022 by the following vote, and I will move.
I'll second.
Thank you. And a roll call vote. So-
Aye.
Hi, Trustee Barnes.
Aye.
Okay, I too vote aye, and Clerk Venegas.
Aye. Good eye.
Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to the next one. Resolution number 2122-32, Classified School Employee Week, and thank you to Clerk Venegas.
Okay, so you already did the resolution number, so I just go whereas.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Whereas the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 has been designated as Classified School Employee Week throughout California. And whereas the Washington Unified School District employs more than 350 classified employees who perform services that are vital to the educational process. And whereas classified employees provide services to students and their families, to teachers, administrators, and other staff, to the general public that are essential to the efficient operation of our educational system. And whereas classified employees support and enhance the educational process by assisting instructors, preparing nutritious meals, maintaining buildings and grounds, and performing all technical business, clerical and secretarial functions. And whereas WUSD classified employees provide our organization with specialized skills and contribute to the educational excellence in our schools and programs day in and day out. And whereas classified employees provide services that enable the Washington Unified School District to respond effectively to the needs of students and their families, teachers, administrators, and other staff, and the needs of the greater community. Therefore, be it resolved, the Washington Unified School District extends its sincere appreciation and commendation to classified school employees and proclaims the week of May 15th through May 21st, 2022 as Classified School Employee Week. Passed and adopted by the Washington Unified School District Board of Education on this 28th day of April 2022 by the following vote. I move.
Thank you. Moved by Clerk Venegas,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Vasati. Trustee Vasati.
Aye.
Clerk Venegas.
Aye.
I too vote aye, and Trustee Burns. Aye. Thank you. Okay, next resolution is resolution number 2122-33, National Nurses Week and National School Nurse Day. Trustee Barnes.
Can I borrow your computer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you said that. Whereas National Nurses Week begins each year on May 6th and ends on May 12th, Florence Nightingale's birthday. Huh. Who knew? Within the week, there are also days designated to certain nurses, like National Student Nurses Day on May 8th, National International Nurses Day on May 12th, and National School Nurses Day, celebrated the Wednesday of Nurses Week, May 11th. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are at school, and all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas students today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care in school, and whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has emphasized the essential role school nurses play in student health and academic success, and whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years, and whereas school nurses address the home and community factors Example, social determinants that impact students' health. And whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, families, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. And whereas school nurses are members of school-based teams, school health services, 504 IEP, disaster emergency planning to address the school population. And whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make a positive difference for children every day. Therefore, be it resolved that the Washington Unified School District Board of Education recognizes the period of May 6th to 12th, 2022 as National Nurses Week and acknowledges and appreciates all the hard work and dedication nurses have provided to communities throughout our region and nation. And be it further resolved that the Washington Unified School District Board of Education celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of WSD school nurses and their efforts of meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools. The board offers its sincerest gratitude to all nurses who contribute to our local community by helping students stay healthy in school and ready to learn, and keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on National School Nurse Day, but at every opportunity throughout the year. Passed and adopted by the Washington Unified School District Board of Education on this 28th day of April, 2022 by the following vote.
Thank you. I'll move. Thank you. All right. Do we have a second? Okay, thank you. Moved by trustee Barnes, seconded by trustee Pizzotti. Trustee Barnes.
Aye.
I too vote aye. Clerk Venegas.
Aye.
And trustee Pizzotti.
I too vote aye.
Okay, thank you.
I laughed in the beginning, I just have to say, because I get calls. So thank you, Thora, for keeping my kids like at least once a week, like
Your
at
kid's
least.
healthy.
And leave it to the teacher.
And in school.
Yeah.
And leave it to the teacher to find an error in the resolution on teachers' appreciation, right?
No matter how tired you are. All right, so next we have board and superintendent comments. Dr. Hildreth.
Yes, good evening. We've had a really good meeting with a lot of celebrations. And so that is something to celebrate in itself, that when we can focus an entire board meeting on a lot of positive things happening in our district that have been shared not only by our students, but even highlighting by public comments of the good, brings me joy. So tonight I just want to share a few highlights of some things we didn't hear this evening. And so one is we heard about the new biomedical, the Hosa group, but there was also a new biomedical pathway partnership at River City High School that I attended the celebration last week on April 21st. And so it was our River City students, along with students from Pleasant Grove High School and Antelope High School. And at that event, we announced a new partnership with the California Society of Anesthesiologists to enhance and support their Project Lead the Way biomedical sciences program. And we were able to hear from leaders from the California Society of Anesthesiologists, the UC Davis Department of Anesthesiology, and perioperative medicine and Project Lead the Way. So during this event, representatives from the California Society of Anesthesiologists highlighted their commitment to partner with high school students and supporting teacher training. The guests had the opportunity to visit our classrooms at River City High School and hear directly from students on how this curriculum and the program and the partnership are just helping them to really focus on a career as anesthesiologists, like things they had not considered. And as we heard with the students earlier, when we give them that real life experience and we expose them to careers that they may not have thought about, or, you know, we hope a lot of our students have not had to be in a situation where they needed to be under anesthesia. So to know that this is a true pathway and have the opportunity to talk to doctors was really inspiring. So we're looking forward to hearing more about that. And that was also led by our River City High School teacher, Thomas Mellon, and then also Janice Wu. Another highlight is that we have a Yolo County teacher that we're honoring through the SELPA. And so each year, the Yolo County Special Education Local Plan Area, that's the SELPA, the Community Advisory Committee hosts an annual recognition awards reception, and it recognizes individuals for providing outstanding service to children or adults with special needs in Yolo County. And the awards can go to school employees or parents, volunteers, students, or local agencies. So this year's recipient features exceptional individuals throughout Yolo County, which include our Washington Unified third grade teacher from Riverbank, Tiffany Keller. For those who are not aware, this happens every year and we get the opportunity to really highlight someone who's been supportive of this work and really working with our students with special needs. So congratulations to Tiffany, and there will be a Yolo County celebration this upcoming month. Another highlight, we heard about the Nurses Week and Classified Week and Teacher Week. Well, this week we had the Administrative Professionals Week. We're all able to celebrate our administrative professionals, not only in our schools, but here in the district office, because we know they hold diverse roles. They are frontline of making sure we have welcoming environments, whether that's at our school sites or in our offices. They keep things running. They know things that are happening. They remind us, they keep us on track. So it's been a great opportunity for us to let all those employees know how much we appreciate them. We also have our California School Bus Drivers Day, which was April 26th. And that's a statewide celebration. We know our school bus drivers not only transport our students to and from school, they play a significant role in the education by setting examples of professionalism, making sure students are positive before they start their day at school. So we employ over 20 bus drivers, and we maintain a fleet of nearly 30 buses that transport students over tens of thousands of miles each year. So we really appreciate our bus drivers for getting our students to and from school safely. As we noted, we have the employee appreciation dates coming up this month. So it'll be month of May and including Mother's Day. So happy pre-Mother's Day for all of the mothers, because our next meeting will be after Mother's Day. So just adding that little reminder if anybody needed one. Mother's Day is coming up. So we want it again. It's May 8th. May 8th. I knew somebody needed that reminder.
Yeah, definitely.
We highlighted our summer programs and want to make sure that we are also word of mouth champions for what's happening. And as we get more information, if things change, or as we talked about with staff needs, we're doing everything we can to make sure we have enough staff to accommodate the needs and interests of our students and families. And then last but not least, we're always going to focus on how great of a district we are. And we have open enrollment for all who might be watching now or in the future or listening. I'm asking if everybody can be an ambassador of positivity for our schools. And just really one of the reasons we wanted to highlight the items today is because we want people to know what are the things that make Washington Unified great. Not only our employees, but our students and families. Look at what we saw with the PASS screener and how students feel about our schools. So these are the things that people may not know, but we know. And the more we can get that word out, that's what we want as we are now getting into preparing for 22-23. And for more information, you can go to our website and everything is there. And I just continue to thank you all for your support of all that we do for students and staff and families.
Thank you. Thank you. Trustee Barnes.
Want me to go? Okay. Yeah, I don't have a ton.
Okay.
I got to go to the, what is it called? The mock interview day again. And that was so fun again. So thank you for that. I'm so proud of all of our students. And I'm always re-inspired. Well, always, I've only been twice, but I was re-inspired. It's really fun again to see. And I'm just so proud of everyone, freshmen through seniors. It may just be freshmen and seniors that we saw, but it's so cool to see the cycle and how articulate people are and how kind our students are and how much they want to make a difference in the community. I just love that. So I am very excited for the future with those guys, with all of you guys. The summer boost programs, I think yes, I'm excited to see how those develop and be word of mouth champions on that. So looking forward to that as well. But other than that, happy admin week. Thank you for all you do, Mario, and everyone in the district. Yeah, that's really it for me. Thanks.
All right, Trustee Passati.
Okay, I'll pick up where Trustee Barnes left off. I too was at the mock interviews, and our kids are amazing. Like I think we had predominantly ninth graders at this go round, and it was so fascinating to see them walk in, and they have to shake your hand and then hand over their resume. Like the first moment they would come shake my hand, it was kind of like they're scared, they're terrified, right? And then I remember one of the things that I basically told them was, shake my hand like you mean it, right? Make sure I know that you're there, right? And then look me in the eyes. So each time they would come and shake my hand, it was kind of the same. And then by the end of the meeting, at the end of the interview, I made them shake my hand again, and they're all like reaching in there. They're sponges. Like they pick up everything you say to them. They're all keeping track, right? And I loved it. And some of their answers were just so thought out and so well prepared. It just, and you know, some of the questions we have to ask them is like, sell me this pencil, right? I had a guy ask me, okay, what do you use this pencil for? And he gave me a full-on sales pitch. Like this kid could sell, you know, ice tests. I mean, that's legitimately, he was so good. So I'm just so proud of our kids. Like they are really, they just make, especially that day, it just fills you up with so much, you know, hope and you know, energy that you know that these kids they're going to be great in our future. So that was one. And the only other item that I really had was we met with the facilities committee, as I mentioned. There was two things that we really discussed. One was the lease back option, which we chose. And then the other was a project labor agreement. And Clerk Venegas and I decided that we should have a special board meeting to have more in-depth conversations about the PLAs and the community workforce training agreements. So basically the one and the same. I'm feeling pretty comfortable, but I think it would be beneficial for the rest of the board who doesn't know a lot about what these things are. And especially as we move forward in our progress on you know, what we're going to do with Westfield and so forth. And when we start developing this and break ground on it. So I think it would be very beneficial for everyone to really gain some knowledge on this. We had at the facilities meeting, we had both the Measure Z and Measure V, ZBOC and CBOC committee, the CBOC committees, chair people there, as well as a couple of community members. And so it was good to see that it was attended by people other than just those that were required to be there. And so it seemed like it was overall, it was a good conversation that we did spend a lot of time going over the information. As for the PLAs, Bobby Cucks or Robert Cucks wasn't able to be there because he was having a kid. So he wasn't able to provide a baby. It was a baby. Actually, he wasn't. His wife,
Right.
his wife was having a baby. So we weren't able to get, the expertise from that end of it. So I think it'd be beneficial to have him back. That's it.
All right.
Awesome. I'll keep it short. I want to start with saying gracias and thank you to our neighbors, our community who's been supportive. They've said a lot of great things when it comes to the moves that we're making and taking action, putting action to the words and the promises. So just thank you to our neighbors and our parents who are play such a big role in ensuring that our students are succeeding. And then second, I think in the last 2 months I've been asked, so how's it going with the board? And like everyone's expecting like a complaint, like for me to say something negative. It's funny to me. But no, I have nothing. I think the only thing I've said is the length of meetings, right? I've said the length of meetings. But I want to, let the community know that we're working on ensuring that we are taking every step to be efficient and be effective. The next thing is, so thank you all. Thank you all for, working as a team to really make this thing work. I had the opportunity to present at CASA here in Sacramento. And as a board member, one of the questions was, how do we focus on winning, on ensuring that we're being effective? How do we work as a team? So I got to speak a little bit about that. And I had maybe about 12 districts wanting me to go out there to their district and like, how do we get that piece? So I can tell the community, but really thank you all again for, we really do put our students first. And I believe we usually remove our own opinion and we do our best to voice what our community wants and what our community needs. And just to have a leader like Dr. Cheryl Hildreth, and just as a team, we really do come to this place, and it's in my heart that we are putting our students first, and it's fulfilling at the end of every meeting, believe it or not, to know that that's our goal, and we put action behind our words. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you too.
No, thank you. I thought you were going to say, have you met Kobe?
I want to share, I don't have committee updates, but it has been great to be able to get back to some of these events, some that we saw in here. I got to go to Fairy Tale Town, with our school, and that was really special. And just to see, families' faces again that we really haven't seen, and that's been really, really special. So it feels really, really great. As we think about, there's so many incredible things happening here, and you're absolutely right about being the ambassadors and going out and letting our community know. I think when we look at some of our families looking at high school, it's not just the 8th grade families, it's also the 7th grade families, and they start early. And so as now that we're getting to a place of bringing some of our things back, we had done our principal coffees or principal cafes at different schools. And I think if our high school, again, and also Washington Middle had an opportunity to bring families on campus, the parents to answer their questions as well. Of course, the students, and they've pushed out to the schools and done a phenomenal job. But I think that catching early, some of our families, especially the families that are in middle school, not yet ready, in 8th grade, I think that would be really wonderful, because there's so many things here, and parents are looking, they're looking for those opportunities to get to know the high schools. And so that would be great. And the summer school website, what a list of things to do. And so thank you for getting that all on the website. It'll make it so easy for us to share. I think Yorgos I've noticed has been doing some good stuff on the website. So also, and it looks really, really great. So thanks to all that. I have nothing more to add other than what has been said. So thank you all. And then what do we have for future board agenda. We have our strategic planning update, which will happen in May. We have the Board of Education regular board meeting calendar, May, and then special board meeting, which you had alluded to, the project labor agreements. Is there anything else for a future board agenda item?
And just note, the strategic planning update will happen the first meeting in June, because we want to go back with the final draft with some of our stakeholder groups before we present it. So
Okay.
we're moving that to the June 8th, the June 9th meeting. So just
Okay.
FYI.
Perfect.
That change occurred after we published.
Okay. And I can imagine that that will be very robust and long, so not to put, but if there's a way to think too about, as you work on this presentation, of where we were with the last strategic plan, or where the steps are in terms of maybe what were some things that were on the prior that we missed that might be here. And it would be nice to have a bridge of that, maybe, if possible, but if it's a lot on there, maybe a.
Right, yes.
Yeah, and I was wondering, did you have a chance to talk with Dr. Sison today?
Yes, so Trustee Pizzotti had asked, as we are looking at the dashboards, the county dashboard, our dashboard, that we are beginning to see the case rates go up. So every Thursday, the county soups have a meeting and we meet with Dr. Sisson. So today's meeting, she had a representative on, and she said the case rate is about 7 and it's increasing, but nothing official has changed other than the things that we're already asking, reminding people to strongly recommend that you're wearing masks, especially if you are in a high risk category. That is really where you need to focus, including making sure we know that the county Department of Public Health is still wanting to be partners in vaccine clinics, reminding people to get their boosters, stay home if you're sick. Some of the regular things I did specifically ask, we had heard anything from our county's recommendation, or is there any conversations through CDPH about, as case rates go up, going back to a mandate? And Betsy, the representative, said no conversations at CDPH about going back to any mask type of mandates. It's just really focusing on educating the public with the things that we currently have in place.
Because I know we moved from, we were in the orange to moderate, and now we moved, yellow from moderate, and moved up to the substantial in our community spread. So that was what triggered my question. And I've kind of been looking at our own dashboard here. I've noticed our cases have kind of been ticking up.
And I want to be careful not to talk about anything that's not on the agenda.
These are my
So good update.
These are my public comments, right?
Here we go. All right.
My own comments.
Thank you.
So
And-
anyway, that was the reason for the question.
Okay, thank you. And you have those meetings weekly? And
yes, every
so,
Thursday.
As changes come up, letting us know is helpful too. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Can we add anything about mental health? I know we've had a couple of updates, but are we how do we follow up on?
With the county piece?
The county piece, but then also we were talking about centers, school.
So would you like Dr. Hildreth for that to go after maybe the strategic planning, what maybe comes out of the strategic?
Yeah, so
planning?
looking at, and that's one of the, we are talking about wellness studies, and I don't know if at the board meeting or maybe in one of the updates we talked about, we have a capacity study, a facility capacity study, which is the first place of what are the facilities that we need, and then moving from that point.
Sorry, I
So we will
forgot about
continue.
Okay. Okay.
That
So
helps.
maybe a summer update
Yes.
on that. Okay, perfect. With that said, to get back to my sitter, and I'm sure you do too. So meeting has been adjourned.
All right.
Wow. My Spanish journey can